Well, motor maniacs, do you believe in the old school of racing? Throwing the gears, banging the pavement, nailing the tree. Thankfully, that's just what the classic gear jammers revere, pounding the track with their vintage muscle. Coming up next on Motor Mania. Hi everybody, I'm Rick Carlson. Classic Gear Jammers, Bristol Dragway, that's Thunder Valley. Bring us up to date, here's Brett Kepner.
You know, here at the O'Reilly Auto Parts Masters Ultimate Auto Expo, there are a lot of cool things going down the drag strip, but one of the neatest things that you'll get a chance to witness is a group called the Classic Gear Jammers Circuit. Now, this is a group of racers who have competed up and down the Eastern Seaboard for decades, and their head man is one of the greats in this type of racing, one and only Mike Boyles, a living legend from King, North Carolina, who has won a total of 8 World Championships in the Superstock Eliminator Division and 2 championships for the Classic Gear Jammers Division themselves. It's a pretty simple concept. Every single one of the cars in this group utilize manual transmissions and some unbelievably high-winding engines, including the motor that's in this car since how long?
Since 1991.
The same 283 has lasted you 15 years.
Yeah, well, you had to rebuild it and check the cranks and all every year, but if there's something wrong, we just fix it and put it back.
Now, what kind of RPM do you leave the starting line at?
About 9,800.
9,800, and where do you shift?
9,500.
And even on an 1/8 mile course, such as which we're dealing with here, you're still going through all 4 gears.
Oh yeah, I get in fourth just a little bit before the finish line.
Okay, of all the contestants in this group, of which there are several dozen, what do you think the average starting line launch RPM is?
Probably about 8,000.
8,000 to 8,500 probably. What's the average rear gear ratio?
Probably 586.
586?
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it was in the 5s, not a 586. That's a pretty brutal launch.
Well, I know that myself and Flintstone and Stoneman all run 620. I'm not sure about the rest of them, but most of them don't turn them like we do, so they probably run
620 rear gear.
Yeah, and I run an underdrive in high gear. I got a 116 high gear.
And I have to point out the fact that very, very few cars in this circuit weigh under 3,500 pounds.
Most of these cars are fairly heavy. Most of them steel except for the hood. There's not many fiberglass replicas or anything in it.
Well, bear in mind that when these guys leave the starting line, it's not just a matter of hanging on and steering. From there on, their work begins, and that's what makes the Classic Gear Jammers such an entertaining circuit. The race hasn't even started at half track, and until they get it into the final drive gear, who knows what's going to happen.
RPM, here we go. We'll start with first pairing. George Houston in the far lane. He'll be in the Chevy Nova. Virginia-based machine, all 331 cubic inches of small block Chevrolet. And we're looking at David Gambrell, Linwood, North Carolina, the 71 Cuda, 340, both of them 4-speed. Dial-in 688 for the Chevy. Oh my goodness. And as he pulls up, looking ready. The Nova, the Cuda, Chevrolet Mopar, lights down, wheels up, a red light. Wheel standing Cuda is out of here. Wheel standing Nova, I guess they're all wheel standing. Nova, Houston is going to be the winner on the 688, stops the clock to 6.91. Good numbers, he'll move to round number 2. 57 Chevrolet, that is Jim Day coming up, and he is paired with the bright red Mustang of Jesse Pittman. The North Carolina-based 64.5 Mustang, 347 cubic inches, lights down, wheels up, red light for the 57 Chevy. He's gone. Pittman, the Mustang, slows down, takes a 6.68 run on his 661 dial, good enough to go to round number 2. They keep coming out. 55 Chevrolet, the shoebox, 355 cubic inches. That is Tom Tallman, Lexington, North Carolina. And he is up against Bill Hull, Mount Airy, North Carolina, his Camaro. Camaro, a little bigger motor, but red light. Look at the wheel stands out of the winning 55 Chevrolet. Tallman, 634 on a 630. He dialed for those wheel stands all down the racetrack. Up next, a car we don't see very often. It's a Monza. This is Brett Kesey, the Chevrolet competitor here, and he is going to be paired with that gorgeous 67 Cuda out of King, North Carolina, Aaron Boyles, one of the Boyles family machines. Look at the handicap start. There's the Monza, a long way out there, and it's all over, as it was a red light for the Mopar. Kesey is 661, only 400ths over his dial. That's the white Chevy does that. This is a man we talked to. This is Mike Boyles, a good old Charlie Brown, 57 Chevrolet station wagon. He's dialed at the 690, while it is Brian Waddell. His Camaro. Whoa. Red light. Problems with the gears. Shuts it down as Charlie Brown. Waddell is your winner. And that's not something you see from the multiple-time former world champion. Rick Gehringer, the next racer, in his Mustang, the 70 Mustang with Cleveland power. Well, if you're in a Mustang, who else do you run? Well, the guy in the Thunderbird. Thunderbird. That is James Burnell. Virginia-based Thunderbird, North Carolina-based Mustang. Wheels up launches. They're out there. Thunderbird first. Here comes the Mustang. We're going to be able to get around for the win. No, he can't. The Thunderbird, Burnell, is your winner. Well, time for us to catch our breath, and we'll come back with more round one action. The Gear Jammers making it exciting right here on Motor Mania. Welcome back to O'Reilly Auto Parts Motor Mania, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts, home of the professional parts people, and Summit Racing Equipment, the World Speed Shop. And brought to you by Hallmark. Hallmark, built strong for the way you work and play. Back at Bristol Dragway, classic Gear Jammers. They don't become much more classic than a 57 Corvette of Jim Schilling. And this is a gorgeous machine. He is paired with Jim Ward, that lime green 71 Duster 340. Stick shift, small blocks, both out, wheels up by both machines. The Corvette coming to the center line. Jim Ward in the Mopar is out there. Is he going to be able to hang on? Yes, he does. 658 on the 655. Corvette out of here. Duster keeps racing. Good pairing. Now it's time for those station wagons, the grocery getter. This is Kenny Starnes. This is a sharp-looking machine. The other Nova, that's Noel Davis. 65 Nova wagon, 67 Nova two-door SS. Up in the air, both machines banging gears, jamming down the 8th mile. It's going to be the Nova. Yeah, but which one? It is Noel Davis, the silver machine, near lane, 644 on the 640 dial. Larry Laser coming up, Mooresville, North Carolina, the home of all those performance folks. His 67 Camaro, 330 cubic inch small block. And Steve Johnson in the near lane from Dobson, North Carolina, the 68 Camaro. A pair of Camaros way up in the air is Laser. I don't know if he's going to be able to get around. Can you get around and still be up in the air like that? Yes, he does. Right on, only 6,000ths off the dial. Laser, outstanding run. Take a look at the ladder. You can see what we have. Houston, Pittman, Davis, Kesey, Waddell, Ward, Darnell, Laser, and Tallman with the bye as we get ready for round number 2.
In the 1950s, Chevrolet tried to make a utility vehicle, and they based it on a passenger car. It was the El Camino, and they continued that style through many different bodies. In 1970, they had big blocks available. This 1970 El Camino happens to have been an SS 454, 425 cubic inches. A lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of detail. It's basically a bare bones type machine. There's no air conditioning. And we're going to find out what kind of time and effort Bob Mick put into building this machine.
About 1.5 years on the restoration, completely off the frame. Pretty much everything on it was new. Tried to restore back to as close to original as we could. The original LS6 been long gone. No one knew what happened with it. So we decided to go with a little more horsepower with the Crate 502 horsepower.
Hey, have you had it 1.5 years, or did you have it longer than that?
I've actually had the car now about 4 years. I bought it, it was just in pieces, hauled it home in 2 or 3 different trailers. About 1.5 years restoration on it, and this is I guess coming into the 3rd season of showing it.
As a show car, you have it in several shows. Is it a driver at all? Do you get to go play with it occasionally?
Occasionally take it to some of the local cruise-ins, maybe drive it. We go to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee a lot for the shows, and drive it through town. It's geared a little low to drive it very far, so we most of the time haul it to the shows. It's got 410s in it with the Rock Crusher M22 transmission. So running about 40, 45 mile an hour, it's tacking about 3,500 on the tack. So.
And expensive gas, and it's using some premium, so it's a little cheaper on the trailer.
Yeah, that's right. Plus, getting a little fat and old and tired of cleaning on them so much. My wife's car is a driver, and one's a driver, that's enough. So.
Keeps you busy. It's a gorgeous machine. Do you have any plans to go any farther with it or any other changes to it?
Not with this one. I actually have another one at home just like this that I bought as a basket case also, and it's a 70 model. Matter of fact, same color. It was a 396 350 automatic car, and we're hoping maybe to get it restored in the next year or so to have a pair of bookends.
Bob and Judy Mick, a lot of time, a lot of effort, very worthwhile on one of the best looking 70 SS El Caminos you're going to find anywhere.
Neat look at El Camino. Now it's back to the race action. Not everybody made it into the program. Those that weren't able to qualify, they go to a consolation race. And here's one of the interesting matchups. Duke Snyder in the near lane in that Oldsmobile Firenze with a 500 cubic inch Chevrolet, and Dave Gardot, who got out of there way out front with that riff-raff 55 Chevy, straight axle, only a small block, and it was Duke Snyder that ran a 506 on his 505. But Gardot, one of the classic machines to make the gear jammers. Brett Kepner caught up with him at the top end.
I got to ask you, well, most of the cars in the classic gear jammers are super stock eliminator machines. This thing is obviously a circa 1964 B or C gasser, right?
Correct, and it would not fit in today's class racing. Most of those classes went away years ago.
Right.
So we're out having a ball with the gear jammers. This is the best deal in drag racing for these old antiques.
Oh, absolutely. Now, how long have you had this car?
I finished it up in 2004.
And it is not a repro car with somebody's old gasser.
No, it is a repro.
It is?
Yes, I bought it firewall back from a friend, just the body, found a chassis, spare parts on the internet.
You spent as much time as car show guys finding the right pieces for this car then.
That is correct. That is correct.
What's the quickest it's gone?
So far, 690.
That's a ride in this thing, buddy.
It's a good time, and if it didn't have the 4-speed, it'd be boring. It runs so straight.
Back to the classic gear jammers on Motor Mania. A lot of history in the Bristol area, and there's more history being made back at Thunder Valley. Let's take a look as we get ready for round number 2. And it's going to be Chevy versus Ford. The far lane was the Nova of George Houston, and now it's at 64.5. Mustang of Jesse Pittman. There's the Nova. Houston doing the burnout. 330 cubic inches there and 340 cubic inches of Ford. Very simply, stick shift machines, wheels up launches, high RPM, dial in on the 8th mile drag strip. Chevy out and Ford out, wheels up, banging gears all the way down the 8th mile. Chevy was out there first. Can he hang on? Yes, indeed. George Houston, the 693 and 689, just 400ths over that dial. He was out quick. The Mustang must have been a little bit late. The Mistress, that's the name of Brett Kesey's Monza. He'll be dialed in, and he's going to run Noel Davis, that neat-looking 67 Nova that has been strong all weekend. Looks like fairly even on the launch. Now they're back just banging the gears. There's the Monza. Here comes the Nova. And Noel Davis, 636 on the 36 for the win as the Monza. Kesey, too quick, breaking out. Larry Laser in his Camaro. This is as bright as you're going to get, and that is the Ford of James Durnell. Durnell, 390 FE, one of those big old cast iron Fords, is out first, and the wheels up for that Camaro. Small block Camaro, the big block Ford. The Ford wins again, 697 on the 97. They're shifting gears, leaving with dropping the clutch and running right on the number. They are tough. That's Jim Ward. His lime green Sublime 71 Duster 340, and he's paired with Brian Waddell's 68 Camaro. Camaro in the near lane, and look at that Duster. He looked like he was going to go to the center line, and now he is out there, and here comes the Camaro. Not able to catch him. The Mopar, that Duster, a 664 and the 665, and that Camaro must have been very late because Ford was a 10th off his dial. Now it's a single run, earning the bye here in round number 2 with the uneven number of cars. That's 55 Chevy of Tom Tallman, the North Carolina-based machine. Each time he bangs a gear, the front end is up in the air, and he continues on, and he will move to round number 3 at 633, a little under the dial, but on a single pass, you can break out. It doesn't really matter. So he is ready as we get ready to go into the quarters. Houston, Durnell, Tallman, and Ward, and Davis this time with the single pass. Well, that is the elimination round going on in round number 2 of Classic Gear Jammers. Let's go to the second chance. Remember, we told you earlier, some of the folks that didn't qualify get the opportunity to come back and race. And right now it's going to be Boyce Helms in his 70 CUDA 4-speed and Duke Snyder, the 5-second dialed 87 Oldsmobile, 500 cubic inches. The Mopar is way out there. And now here comes Duke Snyder. There's the Mopar. And Duke Snyder, I don't know if he's going to be able to make up that much ground. Not able to. Boyce Helms, CUDA winner, 740 on a 734. Snyder not able to make up that handicap start. He had to be a little bit tardy. Now it'll be Andy Walker. Andy Walker, Roxborough, North Carolina, one of the late model Mustangs, 347 cubic inch. And Jonathan Boyles, how about a 65 Falcon with a little tiny 302. So it's all Ford, Falcon, and the Mustang. It will be Jonathan Boyles, the early model Falcon, 618 on a 615. Second chance, they don't cut anyone any slack. Will Thompson from Greensboro, North Carolina, 68 Camaro 350, and he is paired with Jeff Smith. Jeff Smith, that 67 Corvette, bright red, good looking, sharp machine. Body work is done properly. Small blocks are there, a pair of 350s. Camaro out first, and the Corvette tries to go to the center line, goes over and says hi to the starter. I don't know if he can make up that difference. Not able to. Will Thompson, the Camaro, 681 on the 679. That takes us through the quarterfinals in second chance. And let's take a look at the ladder and see who's going to meet in the semis. Helms and Thompson are the pairing, and Boyles with the bye run. Should be good runs in both categories as we move on along. O'Reilly Motormania, brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts, home of the professional parts people. And Summit Racing Equipment, the World Speed Shop. Also Hallmark. Hallmark, built strong for the way you work and play. Welcome back to Bristol Motor Speedway and Bristol Dragway. That's the Bruton Smith Building. Classic Gear Jammers here at Thunder Valley. As we go into the quarterfinals, it's going to be the 55 Chevrolet of Tom Tallman. He's dialing in at a 632, and Jim Ward, the 71 Duster 340, dialing at a 655. Look at the wheel stands out of that 55 Chevrolet. It's good, but is it enough for the win? It sure is. A 636 on the 632. Tallman, 55 Chevrolet, will move right along into the semis. Coming up next be our Thunderbird, but first, let's go to Brett at the top end.
Tom, obviously, the Mopar fans are out there, but I think the Chevy fans were pretty pleased with that one. You've got the front end yanking, which leads me to believe it, even over 120-degree track temperature, it's still hooking pretty good out there.
Oh, yeah, this is a great old car.
4 off, by the way, 636, so you must have been out of it a little bit.
I was on the brakes, yeah.
Now it's that Thunderbird we looked at. That is James Durnell, and he is racing George Houston and the 72 Nova. They are staying side by side. Dial-ins were close. The run is close, and George Houston, the Chevy, double breakout. Houston closer to his dial, so he will continue on, and Durnell is out of here in the Ford. As we take a look at Noel Davis with the bye run in 67 Nova, he's going to take it easy as he moves down the track, and let's go to the top end with George Houston.
Now, in a situation where the air is going to start getting pretty much better here in the next 2 rounds, are you going to mess with it, or do you just shift a little lower?
We're going to go back and look at the paperwork. I think we're going to be all right. My car's been pretty much on the money today.
So's the driver.
I've been on time a couple times.
Into the semis. Houston with the bye. Tallman and Davis will be the pairing. That brings us now to the semifinals. So we get ready in the second chance. And this will be that neat-looking Boyce Helms in his CUDA. And he is racing Will Thompson, the yellow Camaro. 70 CUDA, 68 Camaro, both with small blocks, both with 4 speeds. A red light by that yellow Camaro. He is gone. Boyce Helms will move on. Let's see how close he can get. On that 734 dial-in, it's a 733. He already had the win, so he checked out how much room he has at the top end. Now he's got a little cushion for the next round. And here comes Jonathan Boyles. He has the single, and he'll take it easy, and he is moving on to the finals. Now, Classic Gear Jammers, here is the semifinals. There is Tom Tallman, his 55 Chevrolet, Noel Davis, 67 Nova. They've both been on the lights and on their game. Wheel stands by the 55. Is it going to be enough to get around that Nova? It is not. Noel Davis, your winner, 6:39 on the 6:35. Tallman a little bit late. Here's George Houston with his bye run, and let's talk to Noel Davis up at the top end.
You're driving a car this weekend that has won national events at this track. Ronnie Skinner, the North Carolina previous owner of this thing. What, you just bought it a few weeks ago, didn't you?
That's true. Yes, I did. Yeah.
He's got to be killing himself. See,
Yeah.
it proves all the car ever needed was a better driver.
Well, I don't know about that. Maybe I'm just hanging in there.
Now to second chance. Here we go. It's going to be Boyce Helms again, the Concord, North Carolina-based CUDA, and the King, North Carolina-based Falcon of Jonathan Boyles. Quite a bit apart when you look at the aerodynamics, but it doesn't matter when you have a red light. That swoopy CUDA is gone, and that boxy-looking Falcon is your winner. 6:15 out of 6:15. Boyles doing all the right things. Now it is the final. The big guys, Classic Gear Jammers. This is for all the marbles. It's going to be Noel Davis and George Houston. Noel Davis in the silver 67 Nova. George Houston in the 72 blue machine. Nice smoky burnouts. Both ready. Staging very carefully. Taking no chances at all. There's Houston, there's Davis, both with the wheels up. Cars bouncing as they bang the gears. Houston hanging on to the lead. Yes, the win. Running just 100th over his dial-in. Houston consistent all day of that small block 4-speed Nova. Crew's happy. Houston's happy. He's going to be talking with Brett at the top end.
Nothing like that feeling getting out of the car as the last man standing.
Oh, man. Been a wonderful day. Thank the Lord for a good day. And I don't think it could have been a better day.
Sure couldn't have been a better final. 10th of a second hole shot and one off. No way he was going to get you.
What a day.
And that was Noel Davis in the other lane.
Yep, I watched Noel and Mike Boyles race for years, and man, to beat him is it's just been a great day.
To learn more about Classic Gear Jammers, just log on to their website. For a copy of this program, log on to masterstv.com. For Brett Kepner, I'm Rick Carlson. We have had a great weekend here at Thunder Valley, and see you again next week on Motor Mania.